Father had been away, reorganizing some old upstate railroad. He returned in an executive mood and proceeded to shake up our home. In spite of my failure as a singer, he was still bound to have us taught music. We boys were summoned before him and informed that we must at once learn to play on something. "We might not appreciate it now," he said, "but we should later on. You, Clarence, will learn the violin. George, you the piano. Julian, well, Julian is too young yet, but you older boys must have lessons." I was appalled at this order. At the age of 10, it seemed a disaster to lose any more of my free time. The days were already too short for our games after school, and now here was a chunk to come out of playtime 3 days every week. A chunk every day, we found afterward, because we had to practice. George sat at the piano in the parlor and faithfully learned to pound out his exercises. He had a little luck. He was not an inspired player, but at least he had some ear for music. He also had the advantage of playing on a good, robust instrument, which he did not have to be careful not to drop, and was in no danger of breaking. Furthermore, he did not have to tune it. A piano had some good points. But I had to go through a blacker and more gruesome experience. It was bad enough to have to come in from the street and the sunlight and go down into our dark little basement where I took my lessons. But that was only the opening chill of the struggle that followed. The whole thing was uncanny. The violin itself was a queer, fragile, cigar-boxy thing that had to be handled most gingerly. Nothing sturdy about it. Why, a fellow was liable to crack it, putting it into its case. And then my teacher, he was queer too. He had a queer pickled smell. I dare say he wasn't queer at all, really. But he seemed so to me, because he was different from the people I generally met. He was probably worth a dozen of some of them, but I didn't know it. He was one of the violins in the Philharmonic, and an excellent player. A grave, middle-aged little man, who was obliged to give lessons.